Thank you so much for coming in today, Laura. I so appreciate you being here. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Back at you.
I think we're going to go with limitless energy, but in my head I'm going with limitless fun, limitless big personality, and we've spoken a little bit about you not wanting me to say you've got a big personality because it might have some connotations associated with it.
Yeah, well, no, whatever you think, Chloe, is super cool by me because, you've met a lot of people and I love that you read people and pick up on, their superpower, as you call it. I think that's really cool that you get that feedback from, your colleagues and your friends, and it's cool. It's really cool. And I agree. I've got a great big ball of energy that I take out to the world. And so I hope that's okay with everyone.
I love it. And we were talking before, I just feel like there's something about when you're in a room, I feel like you can set the tone for a whole room and make people feel really comfortable. Like, I feel like you're just so authentically yourself. Like, I've been in rooms with you before and we were at a dinner and we were going around in a circle and everyone's kind of like, saying what they feel like they should say. And like, everything's great and like all is good. And then you just come in and you're like, do you know what? This is what's going on in my life right now. This is what's happening. And was just so honest and so vulnerable, but very funny. And you just set the tone for the whole room. And I feel like that's what I mean when I say big personality. Like, you've got that energy shift that you can give people.
Oh, look, I remember that dinner. And for those of you who are listening, my son had been a complete ratbag that day. And I was very happy to be at that dinner and have a drink after the day that I'd had. And it was what was on my mind. And I don't know, I felt everyone in the room has a story that's similar or, different or bigger. And it was an opportunity for me amongst trusted colleagues just to get it out there and to have a conversation about it. So, look, I haven't always been like that, Chloe. I think it's probably taken me 20 years to realise truly that it's totally okay just to be yourself. I would practice in the mirror before meetings exactly what to say. I would have it completely rehearsed. Like, I was the straight A student that sat at the front of the class that got the good grades, that wanted the perfect life. And it took a long time for me to realise that, to break some of that down and just be myself and tell the truth. And I'm still doing it, Chloe. There's still more stuff. There's still more stuff that I'm working out how to get out into the world and tell people and be vulnerable about. But, it's a process. It takes time.
I need to hear about this journey because I thought you popped out like this. So I literally thought you came out with your jazz hands.
Hey, world.
So tell me about that then. So quite introverted growing up?
Oh, no, I didn't think I've ever been introverted, but I definitely have been controlled. Like, I would control how much I would give. So I've definitely, you do those little, those little exams or the little tests or quizzes you do, and work gives you little things you go through to determine if you're an introvert or an extrovert or what's your Myers-Briggs, etc. And I've always been on the extreme end of extrovert. I love energy. I love creating energy. I love being around energy. And so I'm definitely a strong extrovert. But I've always been an extrovert that had historically controlled how much of myself I would share. And so it's taken, as I said, quite a bit of time to really be comfortable and confident in sharing more about who I am deep down.
Were you conscious of that at the time? Like, were you aware that you were being controlled, or is it more of a hindsight looking back?
Definitely hindsight. Definitely hindsight. But I've had some great leaders, mentors, and just kind of random folk along the way that, put a few dents in me, right? And we're like, Laura, come on, we can see that's rehearsed. What do you really think? Tell us what's really going on, and it's been emotional in those moments where I realise I'm caught out, if you like, that I'm faking it and trying too hard. And they're the ones that eventually add up to the point where you realise you just gotta stop.
Wow. Was there a particular moment, or were there a couple of examples for you of like, okay, I can feel the change happening in me now? Because I feel like with like self-development and self-learning, it's like an onion. Like, you peel a layer back and then there's another layer underneath and you just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
But what were those moments of onion release for you?
I was at ANZ and I reported into, there was a bit of a move or a shuffle around, and I ended up reporting into the amazing Alexis George and sat on her management team. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, all the hard work and all of the impact we'd had paid off. And here I was at the table, reporting into the divisional CEO. And I was really excited by that. And then I got to this meeting many meetings. And, I think I was super intimidated by the seasoned executives that were around that group, and I was holding back. And Alexa said to me, and maybe she'll hear this, maybe she won't, maybe she'll remember it, Laura, you got to speak up. And for someone like her to say that to me, and I am the speak up, I can't stop myself from speaking up. But on that table at that time, I wasn't doing it. And to get that real just hit me so deeply that I'd been holding back because I was nervous and I was waiting to present something that was thoughtful and controlled and perfect. And I just started doing it. I just started speaking up in those meetings, and I realised that we're all just doing our best. And even the most seasoned executives haven't necessarily always read the papers or have the answer either. And there was a real freeing kind of process after I got that moment. So that sticks out for me as one of the several little dents along the way that people have helped me, loosen up and be myself and stop trying so hard.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've looked at all of the data behind all of these podcasts, and one of the key themes that came out was women are not worried about their capability, but they're waiting for permission to be seen. And it's almost like she gave you that permission of Laura, your voice is valuable. We want to hear from you. And I find it interesting as women that we have to wait for that.
Yeah, and it's strange because I wasn't the woman that you thought would be waiting for it, because I was the big kind of personality that had a point of view, that carried a lot of energy, that had great following, and we did great stuff in the team. So I wasn't the typical person you would think had this kind of confidence challenge, but we all do. I think we all do it to a certain extent at different times, and she really just saw something in me that, I was really, really holding back. Because the discussions at an executive table are complicated. They're not simple. You don't have no one has all the answers, and you got to steer into the fact that that's the conversation you're having, and to stop trying to be perfect in it.
What was your biggest learning from that experience?
Just stop stressing. There's just too much. I was carrying around, I think at that time, taking things too personally, taking things home, really letting it affect my time. The other thing about that time, and I still work on this to this day, Chloe, is that I can't, with energy, I have I feel like probably up until that point, and maybe even still sometimes today, I run through the world often, or I ran through the world almost like being chased by a bear. How much can I get done today? And so what's been hard and enjoyable at the same time is trying to find the space over the last few years to not ask how much can I get done today, but how much can I enjoy what I'm doing today? And that's really hard for me, because I'm like a list. What's the list? Let's get it done. You should have seen me over Christmas cleaning out the house like a machine, right? How many cupboards can I get through? But then I fall over and I'm exhausted, right? But the truth is, how do I switch my mind to be, how much can I enjoy this? How much can I really love what the day is going to bring today? And that's a hard switch for someone, as I said, who is programmed, literally, I think, from when I did come out, Chloe, to run hard at everything.
Yeah, it's almost that permission we talked about permission to be seen. It's that permission to stop as well, and how comfortable we feel just sitting in the space of when I'm not achieving anything, who am I? Am I good enough? And a lot of people don't want to sit with that. So they'll, to your point, keep themselves really fucking busy to just kind of
distract.
Yeah, to distract from that feeling of I'm enough, even in silence. And I think that's something I've really been working on. And one of the things I think you touched on beautifully there, which really resonated with me, was confidence versus self-belief. You can be the most confident person in the room. It doesn't mean that internally you're not struggling with that self-belief and permission to not be perfect. I'm the same as you. I came out loud, right? I've always been an extrovert. This is why you and I vibe. I've always got energy from other people. And I remember sitting in a meeting with someone once. We were told to do one-to-ones with the rest of the leadership team, and I sat in there and I was talking to this woman, and I was telling her about my need to be liked and insecurities, and she was like, oh, I thought you didn't give a shit about any of that. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be lovely to not care? But
Yeah.
because we are louder, because we are more confident, you can almost mask it to other people, but you can almost mask it to yourself as well and go, oh no, I'm fine. But there's a very big difference between confidence and self-belief.
Yeah, and I think there's also something when you're kind of naturally from a kind of sales kind of front of house role, where you're taught almost that everything's a pitch. Like, so you go into meetings, you're always kind of pitching and selling, but that's not the job when you're an executive. It's really to sense the room, to really understand how people are feeling about a topic, to let people come in to help guide you. Like, that's a really big change to earlier in my career where it was about the sell. Here's the latest campaign. Here's the latest program. Here's the latest project. Here's what we're going to do. Can I get the investment? Like, that's not what executive leadership looks like now. And so untraining that kind of salesy kind of part of that confidence as well has been really difficult for me, and I'm still trying because I do get excited about the work and I want people to love it, but really inviting people in is also something that I've had to kind of learn and I'm still mastering.
I feel that's quite genuine for you though, because we've just sat down in the studio and you're straight away like, oh, I've got a new campaign, I'm so excited. And I actually just like wrote a little heart down, like you're taking notes, and I just thought it's so lovely to see. That was like the most authentic marketing moment I think I've ever seen, because you were nerding out about your own campaign and just getting really excited about it. And I was like, that's really cute. And it was almost like the way you were the way you were talking about it was like, you're like, oh, I've spent my budget on this and this is what we've bought. And it was like such a genuine, personal look at what we've made. And I actually my heart was melting a little bit watching you get excited about what the team and you had built.
Oh, I can't wait for the world to see it. They've done some amazing work in the last 12 months, but this is like the next stage. And the pride comes from not just the work, but the process. Yeah. Like this isn't, I spoke to the team and they're so good. They're so damn good. We're not going to create, crap work. We're going to do beautiful work that lasts forever, that we're all so proud of and our whole company is proud of and the whole world, because Allianz is so huge, is excited by, and that's what we're doing. And so when you start to think about the work and you're enjoying the work, you're not rushing for the next piece of work. I'm not being chased by a bear. The job is to slow down and to enjoy the process. And then when you get the products that you get off the back of doing it well, then it is like, the pride is another level. It's not about volume. It's about beautiful work that performs its socks off.
I feel like you've answered this to some extent already, but I'm just going to follow up on that. I speak to a lot of marketers and we're almost losing that joy. We're losing that art because there's so much change and chaos. And to your point, that feeling of running like a bear. How do we find that joy? Like, what advice have you got for anyone listening of like reconnecting with that joy? Because I saw it in your face when you were showing me your new campaign, and I thought, I hope everyone gets this feeling.
Oh, look, I think everyone's different. For me, at least, like I am an optimistic, kind of joyful, positive person. I've got to learn to, balance kind of other parts to that. But, it's slowing down to appreciate the opportunities you get helps. I think, gosh, how do we get the joy? I think there's a lot of joy, Chloe, amongst my colleagues. Yeah, there's a lot of busyness, but no, I still think there's a lot of joy there. I'm excited about when something's really hard, then that's where the joy is, right? Like some of the stuff that we're tackling at the moment, it's really difficult. And there's no answer and there's no textbook and playbook. And we've had, independent folk come in and experts from around the world on some of the things we're trying to wrestle, and they don't know the answers either. And so there's a lot of joy in the complexity, and even at the moment while there's a lot of pressure, right, it's to really realise you're pioneering something is pretty damn cool. But that takes reflection, and it's not always easy in the moment and when everything's urgent. But I don't know, I feel very lucky, and I feel a lot of joy in all the work we do.
No, I think that's good advice. When you're pioneering something, change is hard, and
it's really hard. Some of the joy that I'm getting now is really coming from letting more people into the process, not controlling it in some kind of separate department and presenting it to the world, is bringing together all of the difference that exists to tackle something hard, like really hard. And the hard stuff you can't figure out in like a workshop or a week or a month. It really takes a lot of time. We're seeing movement on some of our big programs at the moment that have been really difficult, and the joy that comes from those green shoots when things start to move up is so deep. I can't even tell you that we haven't got the champagne in the fridge just yet, but I'm going to go to the shop and buy it soon because it's coming. And it's a different kind of, when it's a big problem, it's a deeper amount of joy.
I love that. That's really great advice. I think a lot of people get a lot from that. I'm going to switch you up a little bit because we've done a little bit of work. We're going to go kids because you've got so many of them. We can't not mention them.
Oh my gosh.
How many? Remind me how many you have?
So between my partner and I, we are a Brady bunch, but between the two of us, there's 7. So they're from 30 through to 7, and we've got 2 left at home.
And how many of them are boys?
We've got so all boys, yes.
Yes. That is a chaotic, beautiful array of life, right? I feel like it's so interesting hearing people, because I have no children, and hearing people with so many kids. Like, what have children taught you? Like, what has that journey of motherhood been like for you?
Oh, wow. This is going to get real deep, Chloe. You didn't tell me we were going here.
I didn't tell you we were going anywhere.
But I did just tell you that I'm trying to break out and be more vulnerable. So let me have a crack. So first of all, let's talk about the 15-year-old. Like, he's the opposite to me. He is completely introverted, and he doesn't want to be in the front of the class getting straight A's. He wants to be, at this point, an electrician and run his own business, which I think is super cool in this day and age, to be frank. He's going to pursue that. And it's been, I don't know. I think when I had him when I was quite young, and I think maybe at the time you expect a kind of little version of yourself when you have your first child, and when there's someone else, you're like, whoa, where did this character come from? And it's been wonderfully kind of, hard for me and great for me to have a son like him that is so different. But he's going to be just fine. So I'm really excited to see what he does next. The little one's just a player, Chloe. What am I going to do with him? He's got dimples. He walks into school, the girls go, oh, Sammy's here. Captain of the soccer team, captain of the rugby team. He walks around with the collar up on his shirt. So he's going to be just fine. Hopefully I can just knock a few of the edge off him as well. But he's a doll, and he's smart, and he's growing up in a completely different generation than Charlie. And then with all the kids, they're all so different again. They all came into my life at a different point in, like, they were all different ages at that point as well, obviously, and they all come with my own relationship with them as well. But, I just embrace it. It sounds nuts. I remember when I met Rob, the idea of 5 kids, I was like, whoa. But then you meet them and they're fantastic and they're nice and they're cool people, and, why not? Well, what are you worried about?
What's motherhood taught you on both sides?
To calm down, but also I'm so aware that the boys look at me and what I'm doing, and I know that I play a huge role in their life to kind of model what excellent kind of parenting and being a good human looks like. So I think there's an expectation around how to lead a life that is good, that comes with having, at least for me, kids that look at you like that.
And how is it raising that, so like boys? Because obviously we have so many women on the podcast, and I'm so conscious that so many of them are mothers to sons, and I feel like we've had a lot of feedback on the Limitless Equation about, why have you only got women on there? And I'm like, because I want people to learn from women, but it's open to men to listen to. Like, I had more men reach out saying, can you coach me off the back of starting this podcast? Than I have women. Like, there's such a space and a need for this in kind of male-dominated spaces too. What's it like for young men at the moment?
Oh, that's a really big question, and one I definitely don't feel I have any authority to answer. I think our boys are all at such different ages that they're seeing the world through completely different kind of stages. So I don't know the answer to that. They're all so different. I don't know, Chloe. That's a big question. I think what we just try to do is keep it simple and focus, make sure they just remain kind, right? And that they work hard, I mean, that work thing is really a kind of an interesting topic, or that work ethic is an interesting topic. Like, I was always very smart, Chloe, but I was never the smartest. And I don't think I am. There's always 100 billion people smarter than me. But one of my other superpowers is I work hard. If I can't figure it out, I'll work it out. If I don't know it naturally, I'll work it out. So, that gets you ahead, right? I don't think you can kind of be successful leaning back into the world. You got to lean into the world. You got to work. I don't know. I hope that helps.
No, I like it. And I think what I just heard there was actually, and I'm going to actually clip that. That's my social media clip that's going out. Is your face when you just said, I'll do it and I'll work it out. And I feel like that's actually such a deep level of self-belief that you've just shown there in terms of like trusting yourself. Like there's that element of self-trust that comes with self-belief. And I see that fear amongst so many people, and just having that beautiful moment with you, them going, if it needs doing, I'll work it out. And I think that comes from being a mother to this many people and doing the job that you've done. You've kind of built up that life experience of like, I've got it done before, I'll get it done again. Like I really loved seeing that in you then.
Yeah, I think there's a part of my personality, style, and just how I'm built, and lots of my colleagues, we talk about this all the time. There's just there's like a grit. Like sometimes it's not easy, but you just roll up your sleeves and sort it out. Write a plan, get it done. It's not hard, it's not easy. And then like, I don't know how to explain it. Like just get stuck into it. And that's like personal stuff too, right? Things have happened in my life that didn't go according to the fairy tale, and you just got to suck it up and go, well, that didn't quite work out. That chapter wasn't as planned. So what's next? You can dwell on that. Yeah, you could, but I choose to push it forward, to push forward and to get a plan and to move up.
I was reading something the other day around chapters of our life and how everything's in a chapter. If you were going to like summarize your chapters, what would be Laura's book, Laura's chapters?
Gosh, I think so. I went to 9 different schools.
Oh, wow.
Chapter 1 would be probably school, I'd say. And that would be the chapter where I think I learnt, not that it was, I think, given my inherent extrovert personality, how to meet people. There's nothing like changing schools every couple of years to, work out how to make friends. To say, hi, Chloe, my name's Laura. Can I be your friend?
Yeah. That's pretty much what we did.
Yeah. But that, I think, served me really well into adulthood, being thrown into new situations and having to sort it out, get it done. I think that. I think I had my fantastic kind of late teens and 20s with a group of very strong girlfriends who I'm still madly friends with to this day, and really, got our first apartment together and moved out and did all the clubs and went traveling and did all the stuff you want to do in your 20s. But I did get married, my first marriage, quite early. So I was married at 24 and had Charlie at 25. And got serious really quickly, right? I couldn't go to Vegas anymore, Chloe. That trip was not on. But look, you don't regret any of these things. So chapter 3 would have been all of a sudden you're a mother and you've got this little baby and you realise your life revolves around him now and everything else quietens out.
If you could go back and give that woman some advice, what would you say to her?
I would say to her, so Chloe, so many things. I would say, if you're not happy, don't wait too long. Don't wait for the moment to move on. It's hard to move out of relationships. Yeah.
Can be really bloody good when you do finally leave them though, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I would say don't wait. Yeah. Don't wait. Like, what are you waiting for? But it's hard to get out. When you're in you've created a structure and there's a family and there are people relying on you, you get caught in the day-to-day and you can forget how you're really feeling and prioritising yourself. So I would say that would be chapter 3. Chapter 4 would be it would be the chapter I'm in now. I have an amazing partner. He's not extroverted. He would be the extreme introvert, which is perfect for me because I just need the complete opposite to balance out everything. I go home and the temperature in my house, the volume in my house is low. And that's really important because it's exhausting doing what I do and I can be exhausted. So to come home to that level of peace.
Safety.
Yeah, peace is really, really just I'm really grateful for. So he's a Kiwi, but his mother was Fijian. So there are island vibes,
Oh, love that.
which the extrovert took a while to to get used to.
I dated an introvert for a while and I was like, everyone was like, why are you doing this? I'm like, it's so peaceful and safe. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
he's just so calm to be around. I feel great around him.
Yeah, and I think now that we're both very much grown adults, we also recognise when we need each other, but when we need our own space. So Rob just went solo sailing around Lord Howe Island, and people were like, "What? You let him go? What do you mean? Doesn't he have to do with the kids?" I'm like, no, because he goes. Right. And he gets his space that he needs and he comes back just a better man. Right. And I do the same thing. I do my own things and my own travel and I come back and I miss him. And, that's not I didn't realize now that I'm in it, I love this, but that's not necessarily a normal system where people spend their holidays apart. Don't get me wrong. We also spend them together. But we try to also have very much, our own priorities and we prioritize those to ourselves as well.
And I love that he's getting that space and that's really important, but it's so important for you as well to keep your identity and come back to who you are and connect with you again. Like I was, as an extrovert, I never spent time on my own. So I'd be one of those girls that would be like, let's all go to the bathroom together. Do you know what I mean? I love you were talking about your female friendships and I'm like, yeah, I've got those too. Like I love my girls, but I now know how much I need that alone time and how much time I need with me just to kind of be like, hey, Chloe, how you going? Like, what's going on with you right now? Like, oh, you're a bit anxious. It's okay. You're safe. Like, I talk to myself now and have a relationship with myself. So going on holiday with myself is like, you're great fun. I'll go with you, But there was a period where I would have been terrified of spending time on my own.
Oh, I think when I was younger, the idea of like just going to a restaurant by yourself was so like random and weird. And now I'm like, I couldn't think of anything better. Than being able to have no one at home for a weekend and doing whatever I wanted. And Chloe, like you just mentioned, like I have a very loud internal dialogue, right? Like there's a lot that I'm processing all the time. And yeah, having silence is key to get through that. Otherwise it can take over and you can get stressed by it because you're not resolving how you're kind of thinking and processing things. So there is nothing. Well, no, there is. There's a lot of things I love, but like it's a joy when the boys are away.
It's important.
It's a joy.
I think there's nothing more important than actually spending time with yourself, and that's coming from someone who would have thought that like I was mad for wanting to spend any time with myself. But like to your point around that internal noise, actually spending some time and having some conversations with myself and being like, am I happy about this? Is this the direction I want to go in? Like even just kind of being, instead of it needing to be a really intense conversation with me, I never realised the importance of that until like last year, probably. Like it's a really new concept to me. My housemate, when I went through my breakup, she said to me, she was talking about her breakup at the same time. And she went, I can't wait to have a relationship with myself. And I turned and went to her, what's that? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, wow.
And that's how new this journey is for me. So I preach about this a lot now, the importance of it, because it's just something that I see so many people not have as well. And if they do have a relationship with themselves, sometimes it's just that inner critic, just whipping us and like in terms of that was the worst whipping noise ever.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
We'll cut that. I need to practice that one. But we're whipping ourselves instead of actually that kind, caring, spending time, nurturing ourselves is definitely, the inner critic was there before. Now I've got the other side of the voice as well.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I don't have this sorted, Chloe. Like there's definitely more I need to do on that. There's a lot I need to really still, I wouldn't say I'm critical of myself, but I wouldn't say I'm also like nurturing who I am and what's next. But I'm definitely finding space and processing, the thoughts and asking myself, like, what do I want to do? What's chapter 5? Like, really, what is it? Right? What's chapter 6? What's chapter 7? Like, I don't have the answers to that yet, and that then I get critical. Like, okay, Laura, get the answers to that. Hurry up! But it takes time to figure that out because it's really important. It's like your life.
I find it really, the way I like to do that is I always think you have to like break down to break through. So you always need to go backwards in terms of like, who am I? Like who have I become through all these previous life experiences? Who have I become? And almost catch up to the woman you are now, because I think sometimes there's a bit of a time lag on like us still living 5 years ago because we've identity hasn't caught up with the actual person that we've become. So I think it's always important when you're working out what the next chapter is to go back and revisit, well, how did I get here in the first place? And then when you're thinking forward, I always like to go right into the future and then think, okay, when I'm 70, 80 and I look back, what do I want to say that I did with these next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? You know, like, and I think for me, that's how I've been really good at staying really true to me and making some really hard decisions, like, and facing my fears. Like, starting this podcast was like, what on earth am I doing? You know, like the events, the stuff that we're doing. And it was like, I'm doing that for 80-year-old me that wants to look back and go, yeah, she threw her hat in the ring. She gave it a crack. And I think, so my advice to you, not that you asked for it, is just like when you are working out that chapter, don't try and work it out in the present. You need to almost like look at that linear path and go, where did I come from? Who's that wise woman in me in the future who knows what's best for me, and work backwards from there.
Do you know, I love, that's great advice, right? Because I think I do that in my career. When I think about my career, I don't think about the next role, I think about the last role. What's the last role I want? And then what are the 3 roles I probably have left in me to get that role, right? I'm not doing that with my life. I'm thinking about what's next in my life. So I think that's awesome advice. So thank you. That's really, really cool.
To your point around, so I helped a friend set up a business. It's called Love Is Not Blind. And it's basically taking theory that we learn in business. So, you know, we have KPIs, we have training, we go to uni, we do all this stuff when it comes to work. But then when it comes to relationships, it's like Walt Disney is our is our like education system, and we fall for this, you know, how it shouldn't be, and how we end up getting in the wrong relationships maybe at an earlier age potentially, because we're just going off this Disney fantasy and not going same approach of work. How, you know, I would have a structure, we'd have check-ins, we'd have all of these systems in place, processes. So the business is called Love Is Not Blind, and it's about how do you actually bring those principles into your love life. But to your point, how do I bring them into every
they should
area
teach
of my
this
life?
at school.
Yes, please.
Seriously, the things that I would have done differently if I'd had that training. Because you're right, the system kind of creates an expectation that you go to school, maybe you go to university, you get a job, you find a partner, you get married, you have a baby, you have another baby, you live for another 30 years, you do your work, and then you retire. That's not the system anymore. And when you realize you're in that system because you're part of the system and not because you want to be, that's so hard to get out of that. But it is a breakthrough when you do, and then you get to reset, well, what is it that I actually want in a partner? But yeah, I think you're right. There are a lot of systems in the workplace that we need to bring into our lives, and not just with our partners, with our kids. Yeah. The teens are really hard. I don't know girls, but with boys, it's really hard to get them to talk and not grunt. So how do I, make sure I get at least 10 minutes one-on-one check-in once a week to say, no, these are the things you need to answer for me, mate. Right, this is all I need you to do. This is 10 minutes. It's not much. And I'm giving you the preparation time and come to me with this, and then I'm going to help you do what you need to do next week.
Yeah,
but,
we're trained in this.
we know.
You've been people. There's probably been a lot of money spent on your coaching throughout your career to get you to where you are. It's like, how do we just take that and apply that to our lives as well? It's so strange how we kind of like bucket that stuff and like, oh, that's work me, and because you do want to save some stuff for home, but it's like there's actually some really cool shit that you could take from your work life into your personal life and bring that kind of side out of you at home. I think I've been applying it to my life and I find it so helpful.
That's it. I'm taking a list this afternoon. The family's going to be like, whoa.
I think going back to what we were saying about relationships, that self-belief element that we don't get trained on at a very young age and as young women is a massive part of it. Because if I think back to relationship decisions I've made, work decisions I've made, I look at them now as a woman who I know didn't believe in herself. Yes, lots of confidence, but didn't believe in herself. And the decisions I make now as someone who's overly invested in self-belief and really determined to love myself, it opens so many different doors and opportunities for you. And I feel like you and I had similar kind of histories in some ways, in terms of like maybe some decisions that we made when we were younger we wouldn't have done again. But I think there's
They were done.
I think there's an element of like, what would things have looked like if we'd fully believed in ourselves in potentially the way we do now?
Do you know, I think that I choose not to look back too much.
Yeah, nice.
You know, that'd probably be significantly different. Like there's every chance I would not even be in this country and I would have a different family. Like there is so much that would be different, but it is what it was. And now here I am with all of that experience and I've got this amazing life and I'm really grateful for it. So I think that only thing I kind of take from it is I'm super excited for, you know, my kids, the next set of kids, because they're not going to have the same system. It always moves forward. And
true.
to watch what happens there is going to be really cool.
Absolutely. Laura, what do we not know about you? Give me an insight into you and your world.
Gosh.
Because I feel like you're a bit of an open book. So let's open another page.
What do you not know about me? That is a really difficult question because some people, I've had that question before. They're like, you know, what's behind this? I'm like, oh, nothing. It's all here. There's no more to see. I think that I would say that I'm really, really keen to have more breadth, to learn more to the left and to the right of the career that I've had today. I've made choices in the last 25 years to move into different roles, so from a career perspective to really broaden my experience. But I get excited this is going to sound a bit nuts, but I get excited when I talk to our Chief Internal Audit Officer. I get excited when I, work with the pricing. Like I get excited about the stuff to the left and to the right. And I think that maybe what people don't realise is how much that I light up in the kind of environments that you would be, probably the ones you wouldn't expect to find me in.
So you do know what's next then?
No, I don't know exactly what's next, but what I can tell you is that I want to have a broad executive career, right? And I love what I would call the front of house role that we're in when we're in a marketing or a customer experience or in a sales kind of environment. Like I love the energy that comes from being that physically close to the customer. Like customers are in our meetings all the time. So being with them energizes me. I feel privileged to get close to insight and to the magic of what we can do. But I'm as equally excited by disrupting all other parts of the value chain and I get excited about the possibility of what happens there. And I don't know. I think that's probably, I don't know if that is that secret, but it's probably something I think a lot of people don't realise that I get a lot of power from.
Nice. Do you think you'll be a CEO one day?
I don't have an aspiration to be a CEO, if that makes sense, but I definitely have an aspiration to lead large businesses and to grow them. And I had the ING CEO, Paul, many years ago, told a group of us at the time there are leaders who change businesses and there are leaders that run businesses, and they're super important leaders. And trying to figure out which leader you are and what business you're in is really important, because you can be a leader that is great at changing businesses, but the business needs to be run, and that's not a good fit. Or you can be a leader that can run businesses, but the business needs to change, and really being self-aware of what you are and the business you're in at the time needs. And I definitely know that I'm a change business. I get really frustrated when businesses are in that run stage. I don't have the patience to kind of to see it through naturally. It takes a lot of my energy to kind of focus on the execution of the same. So I've just got to find the right company for me at the right time.
I love that.
But right now, I'm like lockstead in the Allianz system. Like, can I tell you, I have drunk that blue juice. The eagle is our team's baby, and I'm not done there. I'm far from done. We're just getting started.
Oh, I know, because off mic you are just obsessed with talking about how much you love your team, and like, do you know, I feel like every time I talk to you, like, the team's amazing, the business is amazing, like you're so complimentary of it.
It is
off mic as well.
Do you know what? It truly is though, and I didn't expect it, Chloe, when I got from the outside. But it really, truly
What makes it so good? Like, what can we learn from that? You know, what's the secret sauce?
HR have done an incredible job hiring excellent people that give back to each other. I'm not saying other organisations don't have, but there is just a something slightly different about the group of people. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but it genuinely cares. I think the organisation is incredibly humble, which is what makes me so excited that I'm going to start to tell the story of the company that's kept it to itself for a long time, at least locally. I think that it has it's incredibly long term. You know, so they look at the companies that inspire Allianz are the companies that have been around for hundreds of years and keep reinventing themselves. And sure, we learn from little fintechs and this company here and this company there that all do cool things, but they're kind of components to the system. The real companies that Allianz is inspired by are the ones that'll be here for another 135. And that's cool, right? That's cool.
I never thought about companies being inspired by other companies. That's probably very short-minded of me, but it's quite a nice philosophy.
And then when you think about, what type of companies inspire them? Well, ones that can reinvent themselves and last the test of time, like generations, and generations and generations and generations. Like, that's magic, right? So they're the kind of things I think that, and I'll be honest, it's fun being back in a global. It's so fun. It's fun. You turn up to conferences and the Italians walk in and they're like, hey, this is what we're doing with AC Milan. I'm like, oh my God. They're like, it's all about the soccer, Laura. It's only about the soccer. I'm like, is it really? Yes, it's just about the soccer. It's more than that. But to have that, and then you've got the Chinese team will come in. They've got a completely different business. We've got a new big business in India. It's different again. And then you get on the phone with the guys from South Africa, and it's just having that true diversity globally of experience and capability and thinking. When you get it all in one room, it's just a really magical, weird, wonderful, inspiring place to be. And you can do it in local companies, don't get me wrong, but there is something pretty cool about it being global. But it does mean you have to stay up very late on video conferencing calls to get the time difference right, Chloe.
I'm really laughing at like kind of the mix of people, and then you just coming along and representing the Aussies. They must be like, well, the Aussies have got a lot of energy.
I don't know why, but I reckon when I turn up, I must look like and sound like the biggest bogan in that whole place. And I think maybe I like it. I think I am a bit of an bogan, and it comes out a bit more.
Lean in, the high energy. I love it. I'm going to ask you the question now that you were dreading, because you said there was too many to pick from. But at the end of every episode, I ask who your limitless woman is that you would like to celebrate. So have you managed to choose? Have you narrowed it down?
There's so many. There really is. So it's really difficult to put my finger on one. Is it cheesy if I say my mum?
No, you can go for your mum, absolutely.
So my mum is amazing, and so she migrated out here in the 70s and raised my brother and I, and followed my dad around as we travelled quite a bit through his work, and but actually worked. I had a really long career at Woolworths for decades and decades and decades, and but started in the deli at 17 and worked through the system to get a quite senior role at the end, and retired only recently. But she never holds back, right? So if I say limitless, she never holds back. You always get, she's Glaswegian, by the way, so it also comes with like a Mrs. Doubtfire accent. And I think what I love is just she doesn't, she's always told me the truth. And she always tells everyone the truth. You always know where you stand. You always know. And she's funny as hell, right? And she works hard. and she cares a lot. So I think that she's pretty cool.
What did having a working mum like that teach you? Because you're describing her to me, and for me, you're describing yourself. So this is quite funny generationally to listen to. But what did having that working mum teach you?
I think that the that work DNA is definitely passed down both, genetically and by the lived experience I had with her. My dad was in a big engineering company, but he was like a state sales rep when I was young, and he worked a lot from home. So he did a lot of the kind of pickups and drop-offs and all the kind of sporting things while mum was at work. So I always grew up with a woman who was out in the workforce while dad was working from home. I just think it was pretty cool. Like I just grew up and that was just the way it was.
I'm asking you to call that out because I coach and I work with so many mums who have got this mum guilt around, like, I feel like I'm never present at work and never present at home, and they're trying to juggle a million things. And one of the things that I'm blessed about having so many conversations with all these women is like actually the resilience that kind of stuff teaches your kids, the inspiration that it gives your kids. And it's so nice to hear you coming on and talking about your limitless woman. Is your mum, what's your mum's name? Sorry.
Phyllis.
We're talking about Phyllis and saying she's limitless. All these women that are worrying about like being the working mum and, not showing up in every single scenario that they want to. It's kind of like, it's okay because one day, your kid's going to turn around and go,
picture.
You're my limitless woman, and I think that's really beautiful. So shout out to Phyllis. Thank you for being such an inspiration.
And do you know what? Just like on that, like I also had that guilt, Chloe, like the kind of, I'm not there at the school certificate and the principal's award, and I miss these things. But it's quality over quantity is where I got to on this. So when I'm home, I'm really present, like really present and intense and intentional, and we're doing things together, and I don't need to be there all the time. Like they also have to live their own lives and see and learn from everyone else, not just me. So yeah, I get that.
Good advice.
Cool.
Thank you so much. I'm
Amazing.
so grateful.
You're the best, huh?
Always
Thank
talk to you for ages. What a great job. Just an excuse to talk to my friends.
So good.
Thank you so much, babe. Appreciate you.